Go. I do believe we're live, so I'll say indeed and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another conscious evolution, another opportunity for us to consider what it takes to cope. Yeah, yeah. I am very sleepy today. I didn't get all of my hours. We will be having a long drive today, and it's gonna take a lot, probably. Right, emotionally, physically, the amount of time we'll spend. Uh, it does take a lot, right, to be a person in this world, to cope with all of our responsibilities, to cope with the reality of our experience, our current human experience, to cope with having to eat food and having to wash our bodies. It takes a lot. We'll be having a long drive today. Excited screeching. I shall try to contain myself. It's true. We'll be seeing a Sam very soon. Technically, I think by maybe not tomorrow this time, but maybe by tomorrow, an hour from now, 2 hours from now, 3 hours from now, we'll see Sam for the first time in person. Isn't that gonna be nice? I wonder what will it take to cope? How much will it take to cope with me in the real world, Sam? I wonder sometimes. Think I definitely have had an experience, and I've been vocal about it with you friends, about feeling like I'm not really not really tangible is a word that comes out to my mind right now, but I worry about my own likability sometimes. About the way in which I've been and the way in which I'll be dealing with my own coping mechanisms. Always hoping that there will be love on the other side of it. So I'm saying I woke up this morning and was like, fuck, they're gonna be here tomorrow, and I immediately started down the list of shit I have to do. What it will take to cope. All right, Sam, very much. How much will it take to cope with me in the real world, Sam? I'm planning on a batch of chocolate chips and some chili. That should be enough. I think so. I definitely think so. I haven't been too hungry as of late as well, so I'm sure there will be more than enough food to putting a boot in. Oh, cool plum. Yeah. You need to go. It is gonna be a thing. You're gonna be here for lunch?
No, I'm not.
No. You
I
wanna?
stopped by, but we've got a lunch meeting thing.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Yeah. Yeah, what it takes to cope. There's so much in our internet culture about cope. All right. Good morning, MeltMore. Very interesting question. I would rather be myself, I think. Take the path of least resistance, Exist as I am instead of as I. Instead of as I want to be. I think there can sometimes be a disconnect between those two states of reality. All of us probably do want to be in a certain way. Bye, y'all. Love you. All of us want to be in a certain way, right? Or at least we found ourselves wanting to be differently. Understanding that suffering is wanting for things to be differently doesn't necessarily make it any easier to not suffer, right? We can still be in this state of trying to cope with all of the expectations that are had. More than anything, I feel like I expect so much of myself. Like the fact that I didn't get enough sleep last night is something myself is coping with now, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of extra sleep to cope with a busy day. And yet, even though that is true, I will still be able to cope with the day not having slept enough. Right, and I know that. I did drink some extra creatine to make sure that I have that at least in my system. Is that Dan? Hey, Melt fam. Hey, Dan. Welcome. Your hair is wild. Yes. Yes, it is. This is what wild hair looks like. Let me do one of these. I'll do one of these. Watch, 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 watch. Now I got like a JoJo hairstyle. Dun, 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 dun. You remind me of a pineapple. Well, I do like pineapples. It might actually be one of my favorite fruits. I like pineapple so much, I've eaten at least 10 pineapples, even with the skin. I eat the core too. Right? I actually enjoy the pineapple core. This is my favorite part. I'm not even joking, I'm serious. Me and my siblings used to fight each other for the core. My mom would make us fruit salad, and she wouldn't put the core in the fruit salad because it was too tough. But I did not mind the toughness. I was like, this is still vibes. It still tastes like pineapple to me. This dude just called a pineapple a fruit. Suddenly, my not being a first language English speaker dawns upon me. I'm pretty sure pineapple is a fruit. Wait a second. Is pineapple not a fruit? It doesn't have seeds. Is this how I find out pineapple isn't a fruit? Pineapples are spiky. They do well in catapults. Bromine, it's true. I think it's because of the scarf. I see. Look, I can be orange or yellow pineapple. Look at me. I've completely taken off my pineapple era. And maybe I can go like this. All right. Then my hair can be the spiky spike. This is some peak sleep deprived content right here. He tosses the salad. Imagine combat with pineapples. Brutal Rose. Imagine being impaled. How about we don't? How about we imagine anything else? How about we imagine humanity rising up from the ashes of our own stupidity and embracing finally the light of what it is we're here to be, right? I don't even know that I know with absolute fact what that is. I do make it simple for my ego self. Tell myself that we're here to be lovingly. But even in that, even in our hardest attempts to be as loving as we possibly can, we can still find ourselves fighting, right? Clearly, there's like literal war happening on our planet right now. Dan says, I have spoken. Have you made someone quiet? Look, man, we love witty folks here, but what we don't love is people who like steering the conversation into the wall. Exactly. Yeah. We'll tolerate and, hey, stop licking the couch. We'll tolerate, love, even your presence here. But only if your presence is tolerable and loving, right? Which doesn't feel like an unfair expectation, right? I think there is a little bit of a give and take. There is coping with reality happening in this space as well. Because when we do hit this live button, it does open a window to the entire internet and the billions of people that reside there, right? And I don't think it's unreasonable for us to cope with that exposure by being very mindful and strict about what it is we do and do not let into our collective mind space. Because it is one of those things that we do get to control, right? As a community, we get to control that, but also as individuals inside ourselves, we get to control that. And maybe you don't feel particularly inspired. I know that I can fall short in that way. I can have a hard time coping with feeling uncreative, feeling like I don't have the stuff. I don't have the goods. I don't have that good. That stuff people want on the other side. Whatever, or however, I do know that, and I said it today in my yoga class as well, no matter what state we're in, showing up is the most important thing that you can do, right? So if you find yourself maybe a little bit trolly and you share in that way and you have your messages removed, you can show up again the next day and the next day after that. And you could try to send kind of like, gesture like comments. Call me gay if you will. But again, that's not going to stay because that isn't something that we have to cope with. We can just actually change our reality. That's one way to cope, is you can change. You buying a town? Yep, buying a whole town. I've made my decision. I've gotten all of the loans approved. And now I'm buying towns. We have Keith. I think Keith is sharing some good stuff. Dan, harnessing the Hydra mod team mindset. You have indeed spoken. I'm from South Africa, if you're still here and wondering. Man, when I look at you, I feel like I'm young again. It looks like me back in my college years. That's super wholesome, Keith. If you are in a community, that means you're not in control. Who's controlling the community? The peak of understanding is just because you're happy, that doesn't mean you've met the peak. I think that's very wise of you to say. Whatever he is doesn't matter. The talking is very suggestive, but the reasoning about absolute, about his goal, we can detail that later. I think I'm missing a little bit of context at the end there. Very suggestive. I think I do. I think I've done that for a very long time in these streams as well, because I see myself as a microcosm of a macrocosm, right? I am but a small part of a very large thing that's going on, right? And the large thing that's going on has influence on the small part that I am. Right? It's very clear that that works that way. What we, however, don't realize is that we, as a small part, have influence on the whole that we're in as well. And there is a give and take between those two states. And today, the stream topic that we're considering is what it takes to cope with that reality. What it takes to cope with the fact that we are in a world that is more chaotic than ever, right? And not only is it more chaotic than ever, we have more access to the chaos at all times, right? The things that we used to do to cope, I feel, as a species, is becoming antiquated. Maybe it's not. Maybe breath, like again, I do still believe that breath work is going to remain a pretty big deal. Unless we stop breathing, we're probably going to continue using that as a tool for mindfulness. That being said, when I share in this space, I do sometimes try to be one, vague, and two, suggestive, because again, from the micro and macrocosm perspective, I can't with any certainty exactly say what it is you might be going through. However, when it comes to like vague, overarching feelings, I might be able to hit a string in your heart to make you remember, to remind you that you are not alone in whatever it is you might be going through. And I do believe that one of the things that we do in this community as well is help each other cope. That having this community, having this opportunity to come together in this space makes it easier to cope with the larger space that we're in, right? Because at least, the very least, we have managed to create a sanctuary for ourselves to exist in, if only momentarily, all right? And these are those moments. And we do prioritize making them as good as we can. Are we just doing basic mathematics? We already know this. He's not tongue-tied. He's carpet dragging in rug burning because he likes the feeling and the friction because it's a good tucking. I don't exactly know what that means either. Off topic. Sorry in advance. Today is a weird one for me. It's my sister's birthday and we haven't spoken in 6 years. I don't miss her. That being said, of course I will think about it. Something coping, Dan? You think she's coping fine with not having spoken to you in 6 years? I trust you're coping fine, not having spoken to her in 6 years. Missing is an interesting energy. Yesterday, Joe asked me if I miss home, if I'm getting homesick. And with a lot of confidence and very little deliberation, I said no. No, I don't miss. I don't feel homesick. I don't miss home. And the conversation led us to almost like a pattern that I've noticed in our family. I've noticed it as a child and my dad as well, that it's very easy for him to disconnect in that way, right? He can very quickly switch off the part of him that's dad, if you will, and switch back on the part of him that's person. And I think it's like that for all of us. My family doesn't have a really good pattern of kind of like connecting. And as a result, I think the way that the energy of missing has shown up in our lives seems to be, I want to say the word non-existent, but maybe the signal is just really like soft. There has been moments with my youngest sibling, or youngest male sibling, where he'll go somewhere, and then upon his return, he'll be asked by my mom if he missed us. And very candidly, he would say, no. No, I don't miss you. Right? And during that time, it was something that I kind of found a little bit distasteful. I was like, well, you can feel those things and not say it, you know. But I do still understand, I think, what he's talking about. I think there's this capability of us to dissociate, or maybe even not dissociate, just associate so hard with our current experience that missing something feels, to use that word again, antiquated. It feels like what am I missing? There's nothing to be missed. If you have enough to eat, if you have water to drink, if you're getting sleep, you get to take a shower, if all of your basic human needs are met, do you miss anything? And I don't know if it's primarily that, as much as it's for me a way of engaging with reality. I think there's something wholesome in a way about missing. You can take the absence of something and create a response, an experience of longing, right? Almost like a pair bonding thing. But it was a part of the conversation last night as well that I don't really think I ever had that. I think my mom and myself got along well enough, but I felt like I was always in the role of, in so many words, like psychologist, right? Freaking marriage counselor. There was a lot of me almost just serving a function of being there to listen, which is not something I think is inherently bad, right? I think all of us need someone that will listen to us, and I do take great pride in making people feel heard as much as I can. I'm not a trained professional. And same thing with my dad, where I've not heard my dad talk about anything real, right? He talks about his set of beliefs, his set of values, his set of understandings about how the world is supposed to be a lot. But I don't know if I've ever gotten to really form a bond, right? A fatherly bond with him. And that is something that I had a hard time coping with as a child. Had a hard time coping with realizing that they have lives of their own. And that's part of the reason that I was so depressed as a teenager, is that it dawned on me when my consciousness properly switched on that my existence can sometimes seem inconsequential. Right? Especially as a teenager. You step into a world where there's billions of other people. There are billionaires, and the technology has been developed, and most ideas have already been had and implemented. And I felt this sense of like, if I died, who would care? Would it matter? And I would do these thought experiments where I would picture myself in my mind's eye. I would see people cry. But then they would go on with their lives. Right? The fact that we have the ability to move on is a power of our species. Not a not a failure of it. I think that's what we miss. If we miss anything, we miss that bond. And I don't know if I get bonded to places as much. If any place had a chance to bond with my arm and those rocks on Magneto, right? I love it a lot. And I'm sure I will return at some point for a visit or to build something. However, I think we form bonds with people. It takes both sides to build on a bond. It takes a lot of vulnerability, it takes a lot of authenticity, a willingness to hear the other person, and especially a willingness to speak. Sharing thoughts, sharing words like they're prayers, all right? Formulating your words like they're prayers, wanting to be shared. I can definitely be better at doing that. And when we aren't as good as we could be, that's when the coping really kicks in. Right? And we either have to cope in telling ourselves that we're perfect and that there's nothing wrong and everybody else change, or we cope by realizing that we have influence and get to make a difference. That we get to change. I think change is a very scary thing when it comes to the person, but change can be very liberating. I sure know I have felt very liberated by changing so much in my lifetime. Get rid of the tablecloth. No, no. I have I have sleeping shorts on. That's in part of the reason. Where I'm hiding my legs. Damn it! Don't tell me what to do. I'm doing this on purpose. All right. I still have my pajamas on. Second stream in pajamas. Yeah, yeah. You can do anything, including unpack your spirit in pajamas. It's all good and fun, broski. Is how guys become friends. Nice. There ain't no way, little bro, talking like that. No, I'm very sober. Like, I feel like I'm too sober right now, unfortunately. All right. This is my base state. I did have about 250 milliliters of coffee. So I've got some caffeine in my system, and I had some creatine this morning too. And I practiced yoga. All right. So that's all of the stuff that is fusion high in my neurochemistry, and then also sleep depravity. I didn't sleep enough last night, so that might also have something to do with my way of talking. Man fan, if you keep listening, you'll listen. Maybe you'll hear something. That is not the vibe here. We love new people and we'd love to get to know you as long as you leave the bro culture at the door. Yeah. Bro culture, I think, is not really what we keep ourselves busy with. I feel like we're more in the autistic slash longevity community, right? Here we prioritize healthy living, we prioritize consideration, we prioritize kindness more than anything, I think. Right, and again, kindness to yourself as well. The whole longevity thing coming in. Darren is here. Hey, Darren. Hey there, Sam. You hanging in there? Big day coming. Oh, yeah. Sam just saw that troll up there. Imagine Talking about happiness. That's so lame. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna believe you. That very much is something that I feel like kids do, right? Like 12-year-olds. It's like a 12-year-old will call you gay and then be like, oh, I didn't mean you like the same sex. I actually meant you were just happy. That's what I meant. Yeah, okay, but you say so. Yeah, this will be my first time doing this actually. I'm a little nervous, but I have good reason to suspect Melt and Joe actually love each other and will stay together. That's awesome. Love is true, dear Sam. Dan, always glad to see ya. You talk with your hands? I do. Yeah, what you think about that? Coping Melt. She's not coping with the disconnect between us. She's coping with more than that. She's a walking ball of insecurity and hostility. I pity her that she has to cope with that daily. Your sister, right? Coping Melt. She's not coping with the disconnect between us. She's coping with more than that. She's a walking ball of insecurity and hostility, and I pity her that she has to cope with that daily. Yeah, it's not easy to cope with. I can also be insecure and hostile. And it's something that I cope with too. It's wild how much our families, our upbringing can do to us, right? Mess us up in a whole new, unique way, create a whole systems of needs, right? There are fundamental human needs. Part of me almost wants to explore it a little bit. There's this big page of things that humans need. And depending on the way in which you were brought up, the way your mom and your daddy treated you, you need those needs in different quantities. And I think that's definitely something I've been spending a lot of time learning about, right? Getting good at, getting used to. Learning how to cope with my own unique bullshit. Yeah, pretty much. Then I truly have no words for folks like that. It was so cringe watching him try that angle. It felt kind of bad watching him fail. Hi, Julian Carnes. Welcome. I would have no clue, Sam, that wifey is very much the planner. I think you'll do awesome. Love is true. Thank you, Darren, for echoing that sentiment. Darren, how many kidders do you have, boys or girls? I think 3 for some reason. I think Darren has 3 kids. You look like 3 Sword Zero. It sounds like some anime character, which I love. Not necessarily anime. I do like anime, but I love being compared to an anime character. It's actually one of the most flattering things Chauvin has ever said to me. We were in the Drakensberge. We were sitting across from each other. Or maybe I was standing even. But I was like throwing poses out there. Right, being all extra as I can be. And then she goes, "You look like an anime character right now." And I was like, "Yeah? Really?" And I felt good. I think that my hair was blowing in the wind kind of thing or something, right? I was like in an anime, what's that, videos? What do you call them? Theme song? Yes. I was having an anime theme song moment. There we go. Three Sword Zero. You did say zero, which made me think it's someone else. But if you meant Zoro, like dude, like the One Piece character, you'll literally make me the happiest person alive by saying such a thing. Are you trying to flirt with me? This character. Legitimately, I wanted to color my hair green. I was gonna go to like a kind of Comic-Con. We call it Rage. Because I wanted to dress as this character. Legitimately. I wanted to be Three Swords Zoro. I just need a big old eye scar. And then I can be cool. Then I can be super cool like three Swords Zoro. Man, that makes me giddy a little bit. Bless you. Let me see. Hey, is that a yabbity goo? Thanksgiving toilet. Oh, love is true. I feel that deeply, Melt. My mom was the safe parent when my father was scary as shit as a child. The disconnection between us began when I was 11 and has only deepened over the past 20 years. Yeah. For me, the disconnect with my mom, I feel, came from her, like in my words, not doing the work, right? Where it seemed like there was a theme, right? I very early on established that there is a theme going on. And the biggest theme between my mom and my dad was the lack of consideration, right? From both sides. From both sides. And I, in desperation, right? Like I was kind of like, as a child, just there, hearing about it. And then as a teenager, I was starting to analyze it, notice the patterns in it. And then as an adult, right, depending on what you consider an adult, post 19, I started trying to help. Right. I started to trying to be more involved in the process of guidance, steering in the right direction, right? Sharing anecdotally ways in which these problems have manifested in my life and how I've tried to solve them. But it felt like there was very little motivation to actually change. And it was more a matter of just venting for the most part. And I think that's also good. Again, like I shared as much that it's good to be a person that is a good listener, that would be willing to hear someone out. But it can feel very frustrating to a son or a man to feel like they're powerless in a situation, that there's nothing they can do to try and make it better, or the solutions that are posed to try and make it better aren't respected or taken into consideration, ignored for the most part. So I don't know if I disconnected as much as I just dropped my expectations. Sometimes coping looks like dropping your expectations. And I feel like it does hurt doing that. But whatever it takes to cope, right? That is what we're considering today. I'm coping right there with you on that fractal. We're getting stronger, Dan. We are learning a lot about ourselves. We prioritize healthy living, and that's why I'm 1 foot out the door here. I'm actually kind of nervous of Mel to meet me and be like, what the fuck is all of this? Yeah. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club, Sam. You've only seen me on the internet. I'm a whole person. I'm a whole person in the real world. And I'm very boskizious. Boskizzy busy. Bo busy biskizzy. Alright. There's something wrong with me. I have come to believe. Oh my goodness. I hope that you like me too. Love is true. You should have kept that one, Sam. He's right. Mel, pick one. No more flip-flopping. Yeah, those are your options, damn it. Can you just choose already, Mel? Can you just choose? Of course, he's the laziest troll is named Tyler. Sounds like Tyler craves some bean. Uh-oh, yeah, seems like it. Look at me, having reached the bottom of the comment section. More yawns. I might have to get an hour nap in. I have to do a lot of stuff still as well. Yeah. I don't know if I'll stream for 2 hours today. Maybe this will be a shorter one. Oh, my bad. You guys are playing with that one. Sorry. Like cats. Yeah, the kitty catties. Cats just relentlessly fighting. And then the humans having to cope with the aftermath. I hope it's not one of those fights where there's like poop everywhere afterwards, Sam. We had cats that would fight like that. Where it's just like you see tufts of fur and little bits of poop flying everywhere. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Good morning. What day/time is the stream time this weekend? I'm gonna try, Nancy, and still hit my cadence, right? My regular time. I'm gonna try. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Sincerely. I'll sincerely try and make it around the same time so I can be here for you, friends, around the time that you expect me to be here. However, if it doesn't work out that way, I'll still do my stream in the day, right? Somewhere throughout the day, I'll show up with you, friends, and I'll share as much as I can. Let's pin that down. When is the stream? Because if y'all don't want to have to listen to Miss Rachel in the background, we're gonna have to work this shit out. Miss Rachel. I feel like should I know Miss Rachel, Sam? I don't think you've told us about Miss Rachel yet. Yeah. I am intimidated, but not paralyzed by the anxiety I feel over this weekend too. Right? I think Sam also shared a little bit of the same, like a little bit of intimidation, like ooh, ooh. But we're not getting paralyzed, right? We're not going to lay down and do nothing. We'll do something. Miss Rachel is a children's education entertainer. She's Seth's favorite. That's cute. Okay, I thought the ceremony was being streamed. That is still the plan, Nancy. That is still the plan. But I don't know if Sam knows of a little park that we can go to do the ceremony. We can do like a public park. I don't know if that place will have Wi-Fi. I don't know if we'll look for a place that has internet or, reception until we find one to then do the ceremony there. I don't know. I think remains to be one of the biggest pain points in my mind of like, I don't know. I like knowing things, I'm a very prepared person, usually. I prepare extensively. I used to not. I used to be one of those people that would get invited to camp and then not bring a tent. I wish I was lying. I have slept on a camp chair next to a fire. However, during that time, I realized this is hard to cope with, I said. Coping with my own lack of planning seems to be something that adds more challenge to my life. So I got better, but I'm definitely not perfect. And I think it's one of those things where the societal stakes are so high that I find myself a little bit whelmed, slightly overwhelmed with all that there is that can be done. It will be very rainy and wet here. I don't know where to take you guys with both nature and internet access yet, but I'm thinking of it. I mean, maybe we can do it next to a swimming pool. You see, like weather. Yeah, just like weather. That's like one of the things. Like, like we can have this whole elaborate plan, wholesomeness, like buy $1,000 worth of decorations, go and put string lights up on trees, put the rose petals on the floor. Like, we can do all of that. And then the rain can be like, actually, no, it's gonna rain a lot. And you can barely stay outside for 2 seconds and you're completely soaking wet. Right. So like I'm very much in that state that I think I have been, during that part of myself as well, where I'm just going to be present. I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to let life reveal to me what it is I need to be, how it is I need to be, who it is I need to be in these moments as much as I can. Yeah, accordingly, it will be absolutely infested with ticks. So if we go naturing, we ain't going very far. Yeah, getting tick bitten. I have been lucky enough to not get bitten by ticks yet, but I don't really know if I want to start. Saturday or Sunday, Saturday the 4th is right. There's a zoo sound. We got Combat Journeys here too saying, "What's up there, guy? Got the super long sun scarf today." Nice, right? This is a scarf from a friend called Ryan. Ryan Stanley. He owns a yoga studio and Encinitas. You found us on Reddit back in the day. He saw that I had this intention to show up every day indefinitely. And he was like, I think he needs to practice yoga. If he's going to do something every day, he should do yoga every day. And then he and me like formed a relationship. We communicated back and forth. And he gave me the opportunity to become a yoga teacher. But before that, he sent me this scarf. It is one of my favorites. I appreciate being adorned in gifts. Did you just explain how rain works? No. I explained how rain influences planning. Especially so when you're traveling 7.5 hours to get to the place where the thing you're trying to plan is happening. Right? It's like if it was over the hill, I could drive there and check it out and then drive back and then next day drive out and maybe like clean the space a little bit, maybe rake some leaves. I don't know. I'm feeling nauseous. What's happening with my body? All right. I think I've reeled myself back in again. Did you watch the launch yesterday? Did not. I did not watch the launch yesterday. Now I'm kind of bummed. I was making flowers, I think, during that time. I was getting some work done. One, Oklahoma. When I lived there, they'd say you don't like the weather in Oklahoma. Just stick around, because it'll change. Did you watch the launch? No. Wondering if a state park would have Wi-Fi? Probably not. But again, I do have a SIM card. I think I'm a Verizon. GBs. So I should have, I hope at least, some cell reception. And I will try and share as much as I can. It is important to me that I do so, that I include the friends who can't find themselves in the same geolocation. Love is true. I think we're getting close to having been here for a full hour. I'm going to start by showing you all the flowers that I got done. I did fall behind again. All right, in this experience of coping, sometimes we don't cope quite as well as we would like to. However, we can find ourselves on the other side, learning from our experiences instead of just being defeated by them. Lol, I may have to make flowers sometimes, I get it. But the launch was great. Armistice 2 is set to circle the moon and come back. Armistice 3, in a few years, will be going to the moon and landing. That's right. Super exciting, huh? Thank you for sharing that combat journey. We did talk about it yesterday. We celebrated the fact that that is in fact happening, that we're going back to the moon. We're not going all the way onto the moon, as you said, right now, but the steps are being taken for our species to make their debut again. There's probably like a whole space race all over again happening again because we want the moon, I say, about humanity. And whichever part of humanity gets there first is going to try and establish a base as quickly as possible, probably. I think that is why they're pushing it. They see it, free real estate. There's a lot of free real estate up there. They say, just deal with the rain, coats and traps. There have been 2 days without rain in Ireland since December 2025. Jossie. Yeah, I don't know if I like rain that much there in your zoo idea. It's kind of funny. I kind of like the idea of the zoo idea. I don't know why my comment about being near the penguins got removed though. I didn't see it either, Nanshi. I got to see that second one at least. Well, I'm really into debunking pseudoscience and I was watching the flat earth people go crazy yesterday. It was amazing. They were saying everything was CGI and AI. Yeah, I think you have to be exceptionally stupid to believe the earth is flat, right? It's like advanced stupidity. It's like all of the normal stupid people are down here, and then you get like super stupid, and then you believe the earth is flat. I'm poking fun. If you believe the earth is flat, I have nothing against you. However, stop. It was CGI and AI combat. Science is a liar sometimes. Bro, the moon doesn't exist. Space is just another Democrat hoax. A mess. I am a lady. Rain creates mud and mess. And I am not at all interested. Yes. Because she's a lady and she is not interested. Yes. Like that. Me and my manedness, I would just like be swimming, right? In the mud. Getting it all over my face and stuff, in my hair. Love that. It's my favorite pastime activity. But because Sam doesn't like it, I guess I'll just be like, can I just skip the super stupid people, keep bouncing off of each other? Yeah, having a little echo chamber. You believe the earth is flat too? Yeah? Wow! You must be just as smart as me. And it's like, yes, in fact, I am very smart because I know. I know. Others don't know. But I know the earth is flat. To me, the whole thing with that conspiracy theory, that's why I say they're super stupid, right? Like, it's one thing to be stupid enough to believe the earth is flat. It's a whole other thing to believe you are smart enough to, despite the fact that apparently there's all of this conspiracy, this hoax, to keep this information from you, right? Thousands of professionals working jobs in space, right? All of those people are being paid full salaries in the attempt to convince you that the Earth is in fact round, and you're so smart that you've in fact come to the conclusion that it's not that way, right? That you're so smart that you have escaped all of the propaganda. You know what they are up to. The literal world elites, you, wherever you are, as a normal person. That's the big one for me. It's like, oh, all right, okay, if you say so. If so, it's so easy to believe the Earth is flat. I have a friend from Africa who needs to talk to you about an investment opportunity. Yeah, if you so easily believe, exactly. Yes, a great investment opportunity. You're gonna make double your money, right? You send me all your money, and I'll send you all your money back twice. That's how it works. You know, if you're a flat Earth believer, of course. Yeah, Nancy, it's the unforeseen consequences of the internet. These people used to always be village idiots, but now they're all together in one shared cyberspace. Good point, Dan. Yeah, flat Earth is bottom of the barrel. A lot of it has to do with religious people because the Bible is a flat Earth book. You're not supposed to say that part out loud. Love is true, though. I thank you, friends, for joining me. It really has been a pleasure. I do think I need to get a little bit more sleep. Maybe I'll do that. Need to get the dishes washed. I think I need to get some clothing done as well for the trip. Maybe clean Zoe's cage. Yeah. Combat, I'm a person who reads the Bible cover to cover. Where does it mention that? Let's see if it's going to be easy to just unfold it with a language model. Can you tell us about the part in the Bible that maybe eludes, maybe give us the exact lines to the earth being flat? Same, Sam.
The Bible contains various...
I don't remember anything about flat earth either. Yeah, so the Bible contains various poetic descriptive passages that some people point to when discussing the concept of a flat earth. These verses often describe the physical structure of the world using the language and cosmology of the ancient Near East. It is important to note that most biblical scholars and theologians view these lines as phenomenological, describing how things look from a human perspective, or metaphorical, rather than scientific blueprints. And here are the primary passages often cited by flat earthers from the Bible. The four corners of the earth is the first one. These verses are frequently used to suggest the earth is rectangular, or a literal geometric shape, or there is literal geometric shape to the world. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations. This is Isaiah 11, verse 12. And shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Right? And again, maybe it's a colloquial term to say four corners, but people are like, yeah, you see, the Bible says the earth has four corners. A sphere can't have corners, right? And then there's Revelation 7, verse 1. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree, right? So four angels, and that's Revelation 7, verse 1. Four angels on four corners holding the wind, right? So the wind can't blow over the flat earth. Then there is the circle and the vault. Proponents of a flat earth often point to the direction between circle, a flat disk, and a ball. The distinction between a circle, a flat disk, and a ball, a sphere, in the original Hebrew texts. In Isaiah 40, verse 22, it says, "It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. And then there is the firmament, the dome. The book of Genesis describes a structure called the firmament, or rakia in Hebrew, which was historically understood as a solid dome, or an expanse that separated the waters above from the waters below. In Genesis 1 verse 67, it says, "And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so." And then there is Job 37, verse 18. It says, "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass?" All right, so they were like, yeah, there's a little dome. Like that's keeping in all of the atmosphere on our flat disk. And then there's earth set on pillars or foundations. In 1 Samuel and Psalms, several poetic books describe the earth as being fixed in place on a stable foundation, rather than floating or orbiting in space. In 1 Samuel 2 verse 8, "For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them." Right, a flat earth on a perch. Then there's Psalms 104 verse 5, where it says, "Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be moved, that it should not be removed forever?" Which again is another thing of like, it's moving all the time. It's always moving. The earth as a visible whole. This is the last bit. Some cite verses where the entire earth is visible from a single high point, arguing that would only be possible on a flat plane. Where in Daniel 4, verse 11 to 10, it says, "I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth." And then Matthew 4 verse 8 says, "Again the devil taketh him up into an exceedingly high mountain, and sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them." That's probably when Satan was trying to tempt Jesus, right? Be like, look at all of this. Shows him the whole world on a mountain, which again is not possible if the world is round. So yeah, it is unfortunately true what he says. The Bible does make a lot of alludes to the earth being flat, because again, it was written by people that were, for the most part, uneducated about matters of reality and more educated on matters of theology and dogma, right? And as a result, yeah, that makes sense. They didn't know. They didn't know. They couldn't. Also talks about the firmament. Yeah. Let's see. We've now gone through the little passage pieces. It for real does mention a lot of different things that with our modern perspectives look ignorant AF, but I don't remember that part. I mean, now we got to like hear some of it at least. It's again the way we use words, right? 4 corners of the earth. Like maybe you can like even if you had to like try and make corners of it, there would at least be 6, right? Like be a diamond shaped, like the top corner, the bottom corner, and then the long corners. But no, 4 corners. Read it again. If you make a claim, be ready to back it up. There's a part that minces the 4 corners. A ball does not have corners. There it is. Yeah, the Bible uses metaphor to get its ideas across. When it says the 4 corners of the earth, it just means everywhere. Yeah, checks out. Again, like on a plane, on a human plane, right? We can make a piece of cloth, and we can like, as you said, as metaphor, be like, yeah, this whole cloth. But unfortunately, we can believe, right, that because this thing is flat, surely where we are is flat as well, because I'm walking on it. Look, it's flat. Literal. Some people do though, Sam. Yep. That is what we're talking about. We weren't saying that, we weren't attacking the Bible necessarily as much, but we were talking about why people believe, right, the earth is flat. What like where they get the authority to believe that the world is flat. And unfortunately, there's a massive overlap between the religious communities and the flat earth community. Massive. The Vesica Pisces is probably like this, right? There's probably like a little sliver where they are not, but unfortunately, that is the truth. To be fair, I don't believe in any religions. I take none of the Bible literal, so I don't care if it's a flat earth book or not, but it does allude to the flat earth. And also, if you got a problem with that, take it up with the flat earth people. They're the ones that truly believe this. Yeah, exactly. We're just like spitballing at anything. Talking about how people cope, right? And I think it is cope. It is a type of cope. It's like people want to believe that there's some sort of conspiracy going on because it makes their lives and their own knowledge feel a little bit more sacred or special. Some people do that to seize the levels of power within the church for themselves, man. Religion is a shelter for a lot of evil folks. Unfortunately, this is true. I think saying that it alludes to a flat earth is a stretch. That seems like a very specific way to interpret what appears to me as a metaphor for describing the earth in its entirety. Yes, again, like we went through like 9 different lines that alludes to the earth being flat, right? And there's no lines. Maybe I'm capping. Let me see. How many lines are there in the Bible that alludes to the earth being a sphere floating in space?
While the Bible predominant.
Normally I can help with things like this, but I don't seem to have access. How about you try again?
While many passages in the.
It's not letting me. It starts to type out a response and then it like auto censors itself.
While the Bible.
No. There are no lines. Like it talks about horizon and curvature a little bit, where in Job 26 verse 10 it says, "He hath described a boundary upon the face of the waters, unto the confines of light and darkness, and in the circle of the earth." But no sphere, right? And I'm pretty sure they did have spheres back then, right? Maybe like a freaking ball mace or something. I'm sure they figured out how to make balls by then in some way or another. So they understood what a ball is, right? And there's no mentioning of the earth as a ball in the Bible necessarily. The Bible was written for farmers, shepherds, nomadic tribesmen. It had a big job, and it does through metaphor, because it's hard AF to talk about the veil between spirit and reality without it. True. Yeah, that's probably why you shouldn't write the book for interpretation. You should be very clear about what you're saying. Religion is interpretation combat. Sorry to break it to you. It is, absolutely. Right? And I feel like the thing that we try to do in this space is realize that you're the one. You are the interpreter. Right? That religion, spirituality, books, people gives you context through which you can interpret your relationship with God. And yeah, unfortunately, religion comes with a bunch of baggage, right? At this point, thousands of years worth of baggage. You've got appointed people to tell you what it means. One thing I'm sure about is I'm not sure. I think some of the best pieces of art are entirely up to interpretation. Perhaps reframing your perspective on what the Bible says might help cope with the frustration combat. Yeah, it's a cosmic drama, right? The Bible to me is a interpersonal drama, right? It talks about people, talks about the way we interpret. It shows you microcosms of experience so that it might teach you things about your current experience, right? That's what the Bible is for. And it is a kind of art in that way. I can kind of like see where you're coming from. So you people do pay attention when I lecture. Very good, Dan. Love is true. Yeah. For clarity, I'm not at all religious. I just think there's profound value in the religious texts. They're some of the most powerful, like spiritual objects on planet Earth, right? To think it like that. I've read the Bible cover to cover 3 times, so I'm quite familiar. Oh yeah. In the time of Christ, the idea that the earth was flat was incredibly common. The Bible may not support flat earth, but it was certainly written by individuals for whom a spherical earth wasn't obvious. It's true. Right? And if you really think about it, like if you just live, if you didn't have access to the internet and education and right, we have now satellites in space and we launch human beings out into it, and like that's the age we live in. If you didn't have any of these things, think about it. Would you really believe the earth was a big bowl of mud floating somewhere in space? Like it's so absurd. It's so absurd. Like and you can't really, I think, wrap your head around it unless you do, right? Unless we spend the time to really empirically understand what it is that's going on. The fact that our ancient astronomers could figure out the earth was round just by paying attention to this movement of stars and stuff like that, right? That's also fantastical to me. God speaks to us in the way we understand Hamas, and the language in the Bible is the biggest hell. Bible doesn't mention it, but we have known the earth is a globe for at least 2,500 years. Some people knew it. Wasn't common knowledge in the Christendom until late antiquity. Yeah, not only that, but the church was repressing, right? I don't know if you friends know this. You do know this, right? Like we were talking about religion having a big part to play in flat earthedness. Listen. This is an important caveat. Can you tell us about how the church at one point was basically repressing the truth, especially as it relates as the earth not being the center of the universe and it just being like orbiting a star? Right, so even after we figured out that the earth was in fact a sphere, the church was still trying to control the narrative, wanting us to believe that, the sun is orbiting us. The historical tension between church and scientific community regarding the position of the earth is centered in the shift from geocentric model to the heliocentric, sun-centered model. Here it is. The major turning points. Copernicus was a Catholic cleric who proposed that the earth actually revolved around the sun. However, knowing the controversy it would cause, he waited until he was on his deathbed before he published on the revelations of the heavenly spheres. While the church didn't initially ban the book, it was viewed with extreme suspicion as a direct challenge to the established order. And then there was, of course, good old Giordano Bruno in the 16th. So that first one was 1543, right? This dude didn't want to let people know that actually we're not the center of the universe. So he like held that information until he was dying because he knew he would be an outcast to the society to publish it. Then Giordano Bruno was a friar who went further than Copernicus, suggesting that the universe was infinite and that the stars were distant suns with their own planets. Because he also challenged core theological dogmas like the nature of the soul, he was tried by the Roman Inquisition and burned alive at the stake. You see what I mean? Like, this is what religion has done to people. It's like, yeah, you think the stars are just like suns? Burn you alive. We burn you alive because you clearly. Sorry, Zoe, that was a little bit much, bro. His execution wasn't only about astronomy. It remains a dark symbol of the repression of the heretical sciences, though. And then we have good old Galileo. Galileo Galilei. Galileo is the most famous figure in this struggle. Using a telescope, he observed the phases of Venus and the moons of Jupiter, evidence that not everything in the universe revolved around the Earth. The conflict. In 1616, the church declared heliocentrism. Declared heliocentrism as foolish and absurd in philosophy and made it formally heretical. Then there was a trial. In 1632, Galileo published Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems, which poked fun at the geocentric view. He was brought before the Inquisition, forced to recant his findings under threat of torture, and then spent the rest of his life arrested in his house. And then his books were banned, placed in the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, because it's prohibited, list of prohibited books, where they remained for over a century. All right, so for 200 years, essentially, because only in 1758 the church dropped the general ban. And only in 1822 the Vatican formally allowed the printing of books that's realized. So actually, it was closer to, it's closer to 300 years. It took 300 years for the church to let people believe that we weren't the center of the universe. All right, so a few thousand years of believing the earth is flat seems a little bit tame in comparison. Hey, Zoe. Zoe, what's up? Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming, Zoe? What's up? You want to go bye-bye? All right. You want out? You want to step up? Good girl. Wow. Wow, Zoe. Hello. Wow. Ooh. Hello, Zoe. Are you being a good girl, Zoe? Look at that. Hello. Yeah. We've been having chats. We've been having chats. Yeah. You want out? Where you want to go? You want on that couch? I don't know if I want you to be on the couch with me. You sweetie birdie. You sweetie sweetie. You want a cookie? You want a cookie? Happy, happy? Happy, happy, happy? Happy, happy, happy? Mwah. Good girl. Let's go bye-bye. All right. Mwah. Mwah. You want a cookie? Let me get you a cookie. No. I'm gonna get you a cookie, and you can go bye-bye, okay? Here you go. Ooh. Good girl. That's a good girl, Zoe. That's a good girl. All right. You be good now, Zoe. You be good now. Good girl. Alrighty. I love the little sounds here. It is kind of cute. Little dinosaur indeed. We got Toasty 07 to those. Oh, it's like, I forget. To those who have perished in the name of science. Oh yeah. The means to justify the ends of us becoming slowly but surely enlightened. Slowly but surely, our species will become more enlightened. Hey, It's good book, specifically manual. Write clear instructions, not riddles and metaphors to be interpreted. But scientific discovery hasn't been a straight line. Knowledge has been gained, lost, and gained again. We have the luxury of hindsight, given that the internet is in our pockets. It's true. I think context matters. There are clear instructions to your modern mind combat. It's not clear to someone from a more primitive time. This person that is telling me to read the Bible or whatever, I've read the Bible in depth, probably better than most people. That's why I don't believe in it. I unfortunately came to the same conclusion. But I don't think I still think I've read the Bible better than most people, but I don't think I'm one of the best Bible readers. Star Trek is a really good bit on that point, Dan. If you were to see yourself 1,000 years ago, what would that person think of you now? She cannot kill a deer at a great distance. To her, what you can do is magic. And it changed my whole thought process on how we pass down information in the scope of millennia. It's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of context. For example, in remaining open-minded, I've read many religious texts, all of which discuss a global flood. Yeah, again, believing that it was a God who globally flooded us is where I find issue, right? Because if you look at the earth, right, and you look at the kind of like belts we go through, it's more likely that we had some sort of comet hit our oceans, drowning us, right? Like literally creating kilometer high waves, actual kilometer high waves that just like whoosh, washed over the planet, right? And again, you could argue that the ancient Egyptians knew it was coming, and that's why they built. That's why they built something to try and survive it. So yeah, again, right, the Egyptians are kind of bad guys in the Bible, TBH, right? I don't think the Egyptians get a good rap, and that could leave room, let's say, for interpretation. Now, after millennia, we have some scientific evidence to back up the flood myth. Religious texts can be a tool that point us to real knowledge and wisdom. I believe this too. Giordano Bruno, my guy, the first martyr for science, burned at the stake for a heresy against the church and vindicated by Galileo 100 years later. And Galileo wasn't really vindicated as much as he got freaking ostracized. He got put on house arrest for the rest of his life because he dared. He dared say something the church did not agree with. Surely polite disagreement is allowed, Sam. I don't feel the need to be removed. Love is true. What got removed? It wasn't me. Studying religious texts and their time frame gives us great context in the movement of language. True as well. Maybe try sending whatever you tried again. The filter must have caught it. One of my comments, maybe a glitch on my end. Could be too. We love you. Toast. It's nice having you here too. Giordano Bruno had his revelation during an out-of-body experience. He would not recant, and his final words were, "To burn is not to refute." He was absolutely sure. Welcome to the melting void at the center of the universe. Here we are. Sam is alrighty. Oh yeah, I got clothes picked up for godchild's wedding this weekend. That's wholesome. Bless you. I'm happy that you're also having a wedding this weekend. Hoopty hoops. Combat says it is, and it definitely will not get enlightened through religion, especially Christianity. We talk about the world getting enlightened. Context. Maybe I need to try and switch all messages. I might be missing some. There we go. You don't believe me? Just read Exodus 21, verse 22 through 21. Mom is keeping the wedding attire a black tuxedo for me. That's cool. I'm sure you'll look good in a tux, hoops. Christianity is just another way to find the Eightfold Path combat. That's the real practice. All that dogma and preaching is supposed to lead you towards. Exactly. Earth has not gone through a global flood. It would literally be the end of anything living. There is evidence that at one point the Earth was developed, it was covered in water, but that is before. Everything formed, like continents and stuff. Again, I don't really concern myself with what was as much as I concern myself with what is. And I have extensively prayed. That's where that's like where the straw that broke the camel's back, if we're gonna say it like that, right? That's what did it for me. It's like my mind's eye, I think I drowned as a baby. All right, let me share that context. I did drown as a baby. I was underwater for 20 plus minutes when they finally scooped me out. I was different colors when I was coming out of the water. I was like a blue baby. All right. And I do think that changed something in me. It like ripped open my third eye kind of thing. All right. So as I started aging, I didn't remember that, of course. But as I started growing up, I realized that I needed to stay busy. Because if I don't, my light just went off. If I don't and I close my eyes, I see things. Like right now, I see what looks like a diamond ring in the shape of like one of those eyes. A silver band on what looks like a dead person's finger. That person seems to be laying in a big old moody kind of graveyard. They have one of those headstones that's a little cross with a circle through it. There's a moon. There is fogginess. There is like trees looking all like they just came out of winter. Right? Like I cannot not see something when I close my eyes. And as a child, I would see horrific things. Right? Like things that still to this day, I have not seen something as scary in media. I have not seen something as scary on the screen, all right, that I've seen inside of myself. So I prayed, because that's the place, the society I grew up in. I prayed to God to save me. I prayed a lot. Like a lot. And there was no saving. All right. However, what there was a way to cope, a wisdom that arose inside my soul about how I'm supposed to interpret that kind of experience. And the conclusion I came to is that it's my responsibility to deal with it, right? To see ultimate pain, to see suffering, to see the gnashing of flesh, the peering of eyeballs, the biting through bone experience, and still find that I am worthy of love despite it. That they that are suffering are worthy of love despite it as well. And as soon as I figured out how to save myself from that darkness, I stopped believing in a God and started believing in myself. All right. And during that time, that original time, I became an atheist. So I kind of like went too far to the other side, where I was like, oh, there's nothing. There's nothing out there. Just nothing. There's just neurons firing in my brain. And when those neurons stop firing, I'll be gone. And then it took me 5-ish more years to realize that there might be something. But it's not the kind of God that I was taught existed. All right, and it is a personal journey. As Sam said, that journey got me to the Eightfold Path as well. I became a yoga teacher. If I was and this is very well known. I don't know if it's like this in America, but yoga is not okay to the average Christian. Yoga is not okay with my dad. Very much not okay. And like they see it as like heathenistic, like I'm being a heathen. I'm following some sort of other religion's practice. So I would never have become a yoga teacher if I remained a Christian, right? It would not be compatible with my society. And I do believe that if I didn't become a yoga teacher, I would be in a bad place right now, relatively speaking, right? Even if it's not emotionally or in a depressive way, it would be in a literal way. Like my body would be less taken care of for it, if not for that way of being, right? So in that way, what I have seen in my life is that religion has only caused limitation, right? And maybe you can, from that limitation, grow in direction, but I'm not someone that seeks out limitations. I think I'll do an hour-long stream today. Famous last words, Melt. Me and my ability to not keep it brief. It's how it be, bro. Love is true. It's nice having you here, having all of you here. Thank you, friends, for being a part of this conversation, even if it's not necessarily the most fun or easy one. Noble flood, but Melt, it was God that flooded us. If the everything is conscious and the whole of that consciousness, the one in the infinite is God. Yeah. Okay, fine. I get what you're saying, Dan. But again, within that interpretation, right? A God that floods the entire humanity is not a good guy, right? But a God that is everything in that way, right, is neither good or bad, is. And there can be gratitude for what is, or there can be dissatisfaction for what is. And depending on which one you choose, says a lot about you. How do you cope? How do you cope with this reality that we're in? Like W, all structured dogmas we can learn from the good and discard the other. Yeah, exactly. Toasty knows. We love new folks, but we don't need to spout off scripture without any sort of commentary attached. Yeah. Glue says, at 25, should you have a career, or are you still trying to figure yourself out? Are you asking me, or are you asking for you? 25 is a good age, I think, to start, right? I feel at 25, you're starting to get close to actually being a grown-up. I think technically 30 is really when you're grown up. Before 30, you're still a kid. So spending the next 5 years figuring out what you want to do as an adult could be very apt, right? So show up, Glue. You got this. So in correct combat, you can get to enlightenment through literally anything. Literally anything. I met a woman at a spiritual convention that got there through knitting. Literally anything. Yeah, one of my biggest spiritual awakenings or revelations was while I was washing dishes, where suddenly it became very clear to me what I am and who I am and where I am. And all of those kind of like affirmations, realizations hitting at the same time with a certain significance had me feeling like I was floating, right? Like I was like, oh, I am weightless. I am one with the universe as the dishwasher in this moment. MeltMore, the function of a tuxedo is to invoke that exact sentiment. Oh yeah, that is true. Literally anything. Where he's talking about him going to I did say to him that I think he'll look good in a tuxedo, and then he's like, yeah, that's what it's for. It's to look good in. Well, praying is basically meditation when you do it right. So if you go into deep prayer, you will hit a flow state just like the concentration or meditating. So it's definitely beneficial. Agreed. Meditation is great for you. There is a quote on a library out there, one of my favorites, who says, "Who knows only his own generation remains always a child. History is the woven quilt of our life." Very cool, Darren. Anything, if you lived experience, anything in your lived experience is part of your spiritual path and therefore part of your path to enlightenment. Also, there's incredibly strong evidence for a global flood. I don't think we're arguing that part. I just don't believe in a wrathful God, right? To believe that God cares enough about me to have wrath, for me, again, feels like hubris. It's like you created the entire universe. Trillions. Trillions upon trillions is a small number as to how many worlds there are. And then you're gonna be like, oh, these human beings didn't listen to me when I said something. I'm gonna drown all of them. It's like, no, I can't believe that. That's not what I think God would do, right? My God, that is everything, is the tornado, is the volcano, is the calm of the ocean and the big tsunami too. It is everything, right? Like believing that God would choose vindictiveness like that. It's just like, can't get me sold on that part. Yeah. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. Yep. I think I'll do an hour. Love is true. Melt wants us to know he's crazy. I don't know if I want you to know I'm crazy. I want you to understand that when I say things that seem crazy, it's because I might be a little bit. And I think maybe crazy is one of those words that have been hurt. But the more I pay attention to what normal is, the more I realize I'm not. Right? And it doesn't seem to get any better. I was hoping that as I get older, I would get more normal. I feel like parts of me have. I think I've consolidated, at the very least, my crazy into a little package that I can share. But it still seems to be hard to cope for others necessarily sometimes. Would you want to read Exodus? If you read that and you can say this book is any kind of good, I think there's something wrong with you. You don't have to though. Yeah, I'm kind of over the whole. I'm sure that verse was yikes. Like, if we're gonna go through a bunch of yikes lines of the Bible, right, talking about whether or not it's a good book to like give your kids, for example. The Bible is not a book you should give your kids, right? Like that's also, I think, something we should be aware of. And the little Bible stories that we teach kids is very much a microcosm of our own societal expectations, right? What we want people to do. So we teach them, right, trying to steer them, trying to, as my dad likes to say, bend the tree while it's still young. All right. But I think that's, again, not helping. My grandfather saved me from a drowning death in a lake when I was a young child. My uncle eventually got me to go back in the water again. I'm happy that you did go swimming again, Nancy. It is very traumatic dying that way, or almost dying that way. Just to be clear, being an atheist isn't saying that there's nothing. It's saying that there's no good evidence to believe in these claims of God and afterlife, so we don't believe it. Yep, that's what I was as well. And then for me, it was a matter of like gathering my own evidence, right? That there was no evidence out there in the world, so I went and looked inside for the evidence inside myself. And then I found, there's more. There's more than I can know. Melt, the mask is masking. I like the way you toggle it off, mentioning map making, and you kind of open up to deliver value. I'm trying. Oops. Thank you for seeing my efforts. Love is true. I really love you, friends. And I love this space. And I love the way we show up and the way we consciously evolve. Like I do feel like my soul is like breaking open and expanding, right? Taking up more room still, reconsolidating, breaking open, expanding, reconsolidating, breaking open, expanding, reconsolidating. And one of these days my soul will be so large it will encapsulate the entire universe. And there will be no harm to come to those that I love. Yes. My soul bubble will keep safe. I think that you're looking at things through black and white combat. There are parts of the Bible I would immediately discard, and there are other pieces that require some further analysis. This is true as well. I think it's more a matter of like what you find interesting, right? Does it help you cope? If yes, then do. If it doesn't, then don't. Right? Like coping is one of those things that I don't know if it's healthy, but it is something that all of us do. And it's all of us can probably be better at it as well. Maybe having better coping mechanisms, for example. I don't think that perspective means that anything is wrong with me. When he starts comparing values, you can know it's coming from an emotional place. Yeah, maybe you're talking about my dad, Hoopy. Here's the problem with that combat. You said there's not enough evidence to believe. That's simply not what a belief is. A belief is something you choose to have despite the lack of evidence. Yeah, you cannot believe in something and know it to be true at the same time. That is why I believe in very little, right? I try to believe in as little as possible. Like, if I can believe in nothing, that would be great. But I try to believe in some things at the very least. Right. I try to live into the felt fact of my immediate experience. I can feel my Terence McKenna angel on my shoulder. Live into the felt fact of your immediate experience. You're right, Terence. You're right. Oh, I should do that. Combat the people who hold us verses like that. One, the people who hold up verses like that one is an example of why they're atheists, and the same kind of bad as the folks who hold up Levitican laws as an excuse to harass gay people. Again, I think all of us are coping, living in a world where religion is such a big deal, right? And for me, like I can see a lot of what Combat Journey is going through in my journey as well, right? Where it is this certain like almost aggressive resistance where it's like you have to like stand your ground, you have to defend your spirit from that world, right? But again, we're not fighting you. I'm not fighting anybody here. If anything, I am noticing how we all cope with these realities. I don't want to say disowned rage, but that is so common in our community. Disowned rage. I wonder if there's a definition for that. Defined disowned rage.
Disowned rage
Refers to the intense anger that a person has unconsciously suppressed or split off from their self-image. Ooh, very interesting. Self-image being it, right? Where all of us can are coping with being angry about something. Angry that our mom didn't love us in a certain way. Angry that our dad didn't tell us they're proud of us. Angry that society is the way it is. Angry that we need money to continue surviving. Angry at the wars, the famine, the lack of housing, right? And then when we come into this space, we don't want to project that image into this space. So we almost disown that rage in somewhat, I would like to believe, consideration of this place. But then sometimes some of it can sneak through a little bit. And I think that's also a part of our conscious evolution, dear Hoopty Hoops. We're doing the work, dude. All of us in our own little microcosms. I think, was it Dan or Sam who said something about everything in your experience is a part of your spiritual experience. And as a result, is your path to enlightenment. Everything, including this, especially this, I'd like to believe, from my own bias, especially this, leading us towards our own enlightenment. I just hope that we can find ourselves at peace in knowing that you are safe enough to be loved here. Your interpretation and utilization of these words is the issue. That's why we call it faith, to be clear, just a deeply faithful person. I hear you, Dan. Atheism is a rejection of all religions that have been offered to you, but not necessarily a God. IIRC, in my honest no, I'm not sure. But I think this too, I think you're right. Not a Christian, just a person who recognizes that Jesus led the life of a yogi master because that's the truth of life. And that's what I want, so I walk both paths together. Same. I like to believe that if Jesus was still alive and he was in this town, I'd seek him out and be his friend. Right, we do yoga together. It's so funny, the person in chat is scared to have something from the Bible read. Very telling. Again, I think it's one of those things where we can probably like look for lines that are beautiful in the Bible too, right? Like we can read some of David's Psalms. The Psalms are beautiful, right? Very nice. And if we only looked at that part, we can be like, yeah, the Bible is a great thing, right? And then if we only look at one of the bad things, I mean, the Bible is horrible. And I am pro the Bible is horrible because I've seen it done a lot of harm to our society. It's done a lot of harm to me as a child as well, right? I was forced, right? My dad bought the Revelation tapes where it was like basically a reading of the Revelations on CD. And then he would proceed to play those CDs in the car when we would drive places. So I would have to listen to how the world's going to end. I'd be like, unconvinced. Even that back then, even as like a 9-year-old, I was like, yo, there's going to be crickets. There's going to be things with 7. Right? And in that way, I became very averted to the Bible. But again, it is what it is. It's not something that I keep myself busy with as much. I don't think about the Bible at all in my day-to-day life. And Mel, the idea that a God who floods the earth is bad is a bit limited. You're stuck in your human perspective. But up there on God level, everything is perfect, even our pain in a flood. Okay. Again, if you look at how the flood apparently happened, that's not how water works. So again, like, what's more likely is a comet, big ball of ice, essentially hitting our oceans. That's more likely. That I could see happening. The water just pumping out of the ground and it raining. Oh, it's gonna rain so much that the earth is gonna be flooded. It's like, no. That's not how any of this works. Right? Right, like understanding the science of it. Yes, maybe it's me being stuck in my human perspective, but still, science. Science is the only way we can really extract the meaning from this universe. Combat, I think you're conflating Sam's role as a channel mod of her position in Christianity, debating good faith, my friend. I don't let the proselytizers come in here and read scripture. It makes our community members uncomfortable. Wait, is this AI? I have been detected. All of my protocols have told me I should convince you that I am a person. No, this is real people doing real people things. Okay, see, I didn't say that. Yeah. I think we're just spiraling at this point. How much spiraling is happening? Okay, see, I didn't say that the Bible depicts a depiction of God's choice to flood the earth is accurate. I don't think God makes choices like that. You're projecting human emotion onto an entity that isn't human. I was very much making the point that I tried to not do that, right? And that believing that God cares so much about us to flood us, to kill all of us, is a very human belief to have. And I was actively saying that I don't believe that because I don't try to anthropomorphize, if you will, God, right? To believe that he'd be so petty to have these human experiences, right? Like, I just don't believe that. Dan, are you religious or playing devil's advocate? Tone sincere. Yeah, it is a little bit uncertain. I think he's not religious. He said he's not religious. I think it's just devil's advocate at this point. There is absolutely no evidence of a global flood. In fact, there's large evidence against such a thing. I just want to get that out there. The scientists who study this confirm this. Yeah, again, I believe that the Earth has been around for a long time. I think us as a species have been around for at least 20,000 years, right? I believe civilization has been around for 20,000 years, right? And the Bible believes the earth is only 2,500 years old, or 6,000 years old if you include the creation, right? Which is just another thing that really doesn't vibe with my whole, again, the belief thing. That's where the evidence comes in for me. Because again, that's the evidence that's, I think, easier to prove in so many words. What I do believe is that the event of a flood was real, and as an event that exists in space-time, it is therefore an act of God, as all things in nature are. Very different way of understanding it than the vindictive God who floods the earth narrative. I come to that perspective by reading the flood myth and all the religious texts, not just the Bible. Thanks, brother, for understanding. You get what I'm trying to say, and you let me know if you want me to stop talking about anything. But if not, I'm going to bring it up. We did talk about it a little bit. I feel like we have shared our ways of coping with this information. I'm not religious at all, but I won't throw the baby out of the bathwater. Religious texts are brimming with knowledge and wisdom, and it's unwise to reject them. I don't think homonyms were around. Homonyms were around during global flood. I'll double check. Indeed, Dan, cherry picking the wisdom. Cherries are yummy. Exactly, toast. Remain open to all things. It hurt me for you to remove that one, Sam, but I get why you did. Was a funny one. If it ain't allowed to speak truth to power about the politics in this country, neither can any of you. If I ain't allowed. You made a choice. When I hear you say consider after narrating that you've already chosen, I don't know. It sounds backwards. It could be. You were handsome. Thanks. You made a choice. Yeah, definitely don't come in here to necessarily talk about these types of things. Just kind of brought it up and we went down the rabbit hole. It's true. We definitely did. If I recall correctly, IIRC. Thank you. If I recall correctly. I'll try and save that one. Do you remember when we were talking about the other day? Some people think they have a brand new idea, but it's actually just something that's been discussed for centuries. That's what's been going on here. Exactly. Melt, you're, again, taking the Bible's depiction of the flood literally. It's not. Yes, I know. That's what I was saying. I was saying that I don't take it literally. And that if you read the Bible as it's written, it will lead you to certain conclusions. And I have come to the opposite conclusions. That's what I was saying. All right. I don't know, there's a disconnect here. How much spiraling is happening? We spiraled, bro. And again, Google the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. There's a strong evidence of an impact event, yeah, on the glacier sitting on the Greenland, causing the end of the ice age. It's a hotly debated topic. I know. That's what I mean. All right. Again, it's like the Earth is way older than what our religious texts say, and it's very how old it thinks the planet is. Then he's being obstinate on the point because he wants to point out how ridiculous the Bible seems to be on its face. Yeah, I'm sharing it from the perspective of a child coming into this world, knowing nothing, and then realizing that billions of people believe this thing. Believe. They have no reason. They believe something. They cannot know it to be true, but they believe it. And they proselytize it as fact. And if I don't accept the facts, then I'm gonna go to hell. All right, God is gonna punish me as well, like He has punished people before. Like if He's willing to drown an entire planet, what is He willing to do to you for being a bad boy? Around like a circle and a spiral, like a wheel of a wheel. The ice cores taken from the glaciers on Greenland have titanium that carbon dates to 12,000 years ago. Melt Pulse 1b, which is the second of two melting events that ended the Ice Age. It is up for debate as to whether Melt Pulse 1b was a little bit of water over a long period of time or a lot of water over a matter of weeks, i.e. global flood. I ask you though, is the flood metaphor to be interpreted as a form of purification? It's interesting. You always get this with religious people. You're saying one thing and you're saying you're doing the exact opposite of what you're saying. That part is not up for us to debate, Nancy. That's the part where I differ from the Bible. I don't understand what you mean. It's not up to us to decide. You mean other people tell us what it means? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. I believe the felt fact of my immediate experience. I think that's what I keep trying to say. And I feel like it's not necessarily being absorbed properly. So the only thing that you can believe is the felt fact of your immediate experience. There is nothing else. Yes, we can take ice cores and we can analyze their constituents. Yes, we can do that, right? But the person that's analyzing, right, is trying to do so from a place of science, and science can lie, right? They might have some sort of bias in trying to get the information they expect, all right? Look for a signal. There might be 50 other signals, but because they're looking for this one signal, they can go and find it. And all I'm saying is that instead of concerning ourselves with that information, we should concern ourselves with what is right in front of us, the felt fact of our immediate experience, and realizing that we have enough to cope with. We have more than enough to cope with. Nym, 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 nym. But what if the universe is the ethereal, vestigial remains of God's Chipotle poops? Exactly, Toasty. It could be that too, and we don't know. So I don't think we're gonna find out by talking about it more necessarily. I'm not even religious. So spicy. And then in times of Noah, the Bible says that there were a number of human/Nephilim hybrids running around. It was the opinion of my teacher that that was the reason the floods happened. Annihilation. MeltMore is immediately analyzing nothing else. I'm struggling. I really am having a hard time, Hoopy, it's true. No, I mean, Anshi, that we as humans do not have the ability to understand the larger machinations of our environment. We don't get to know why, we just get to know what and how. Yeah, the faith part is that stops you asking why and just accept that it is, because it was. The ice cores tell us this happened, as do the religious texts. Yes. Again, how does that change anything? Doesn't. Nothing changed. Even if it's true, even if they come out and they have like a whole page of like proper empirical evidence, right? Like unrefutable, let's say, unrefutable evidence of that having happened. What does it change? Maybe it can change how we prepare for the next one. Because again, we're not out of the fields, right? Every 12-ish thousand years, we go back again for more, because there's asteroid belts. There are asteroid belts. The more you know, go and find out about the asteroid belts that the Earth passes through every 20 to 12,000 years. And check it out. And then consider that. Cope it up. I'm coping it up. Oh, getting coped. Pretty much. God wiped the Etch-a-Sketch to start over with Noah's family. Yeah, I also don't believe that. Because again, yikes. Like, really yikes. Oh my goodness. That's one of the most yikes things that I could possibly imagine if that was true. I think we do have the ability to understand the larger machinations of our environment. I think we're starting to. But I think it takes a lot of us collectively. And now with our future, we need super intelligent machines and very large sets of data as well. But we will start to understand the larger machinations of our environment. I believe this. We can... Oh, the Chipotle toots are what's spicy. I mean, the universe is on fire. All right, there's a bunch of burning balls of gas out there, toast. We can understand the process, Nanj. We can never understand the question. Why did this asteroid hit us? Why is there anything at all? Right? That is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy's teaching. It's like, it's not about the answer. It's not about the answers we get. It's not about, oh, yo, we did have a flooding event. It's not about that. It's about the question of like, why anything at all? Why? Why are we here? Right? Asking the right question is more important than getting the right answer. GG dance. All right. It changes. Own church. And even in my own little church, there was a ton of debate of whether the flood was local or worldwide. Nobody agreed with one another, and these were folks who went to church together for years. It changes everything, Mel. Acceptance is part of the Eightfold Path. It doesn't change everything. It changes nothing. Dan, like realistically, bro, seriously, like how is it gonna change anything about our lives? Like really, really. Right? Maybe you can tell me, like, maybe we can do it like this. Tell me how you have changed the way you live your life since the whole 1B melt event, right? Since you found out about the titanium oxide in that ice core. How has your life changed, right? And how do you think your life wouldn't have changed if you didn't have that information, right? Because I'm really having a hard time seeing the correlation, personally. Evidence in religion, lol, right? Right, Brad? Gotta focus on work now, though. All right, love is true. Then, I always appreciate a good debate. Nothing but love and respect for all of you. This is the way. Then, there are those who would say the why is karma, but also say karma is super complicated. So, yeah, thanks for sharing, Dan. We're here because of you. We're here because of us. That sounded casually deep, Melt, about asking the right question. Zoe's commentary. Yeah, I wish it was my depth alone that was kind of like extracting, but that is the real thing. That is the real thing that we're kind of like occupied with. Are we asking the right questions? And are you coping with the answers that you'll get when you figure out how to ask the right question? I appreciate you, friends. It was a pleasure having you here with me again. I'll show you the flowers that I made, and then I'll pull a card for you so we can finish today's live stream. Close it out. Say goodbye. This is the day, no, this day's after flower. Little hearts holding the space up. You see my little boar? I saved this little boar dude in the middle. Look at his big tusks. His little piggy nose. Aww. Zhao. With my heart eyes. Work, lurks, and lovin's, y'all. Love to you, Zhao. Nice. Toasty giving me some. Those looked like pigs a little bit. Hey, you got a boar there. You got a boar. This one turned out strange. It was the first time making a flower of this scarf, and the gold and red combo definitely does interact in a way that makes it very streaky. And I was feeling insecure about it. I was like, do I like these pixels? And then one of my recent favorites again, my yesterday flower. That's beautiful. Ah, Melissa, thank you, friend. I find this one very beautiful too. Look at those. Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. This one like changed me. It glows. It feels that way, bro. Like this one has power in it. Like I was making the other ones and I was feeling a pretty deep sense of dissatisfaction, right? Like I think that's part of being an artist. We are like, I just made something and I hate it. But this one I couldn't say that about. It has entities living in it as well, of course. It does have that glowingness to it. Awesome and powerful. Thank you, Melissa Bradley. This is the part of me that's like call to action. Do subscribe, Melissa. And if you want to see my work for as little as $1 a month, I have a Patreon. If you search my name on Google, MeltMore, you should see me pop up on Patreon too. Still using ML. So cool, bro. You've locked it in. ML? Mirror Lab? No, not anymore. Francois is the name of the creator of these apps. I sent him a direct message as well, actually. He created a new version, a higher resolution final file version of his original Mirror Lab app, and created one that's called One Lab. It was like, I think, $50 or something like that, $50 or $40 for me to have access to the pro features of the software and to be able to output high resolution. But it was worth it. It was worth it. And I have been trying. I'm still making them every day. Toast Malost. I have not stopped. Sometimes I'll miss a day in the day, but I'll go back in time and I'll make sure that the flour gets made. Nobody gets away with not being made a flour. There has to be some beauty added to our world, little by little. Love is true, awesome and powerful. Cheers, homies. I just dabbed up the dead plant oils. Nice. You must be zenning it out, bro. Get that bag. Mosaic flour made of flowers. Someday I could do that. I've actually been meaning to. I have the ability to combine multiple image into a single file and then use that to manipulate. And I've been feeling called to, if I get out there a little bit more, take photos of my world and then put those photos together to make my almost like canvas. Maybe some kalimba? No press? Darren. Oh man. You flattering me? Asking for some kalimba plays? I'll happily play you some kalimba. I think that could be nice. Let me shuffle these cards. Kalimba would be so nice. Oh, Joe wants some kalimba too. I'd also like some kalimba. Man, I think this is the most Dark Flower series. Could do one of those too. I think this is the most I've seen people ask for kalimba in a single instance. Should we do cards later? Cards after kalimba? Let me quickly go get it. Melt, we can see the kalimba behind you. Where are you going? I'm gonna go get a bathroom break actually first. Water successfully returned to the universe. Now I'll take a big old breath of fresh air. Get some of that fresh air. Look outside. See the plants blooming, the dandelions. Dandelion. And the clover is making their purple flowers too. There's a robin sitting in our little flowering tree outside. What a day. It's overcast. It's probably going to rain a little bit later. But it looks nice. You can start to see the green popping up on the hills. Most of the oaks still seem to be asleep. But slowly and surely it is starting to wake up out here. It is beautiful. It is so beautiful. The world. All right. Alrighty. Now to get out of my own way and play. Isn't nature splendid? It really is so pretty. It really is. Toasty, I was just thinking the same thing. Isn't nature splendid? Nature, one big glorious family. And we're all a part of it. Isn't that wholesome? All right. Without further ado, I'm going to up my gain. Let's see. You can do it like that. Hello, Zoe. Are you being a good girl? Pure serenity and peace. Alyssa. And a new friend. Still me. Subscribing to the peaceful space. Let me see if I can add some more peace. Hey, Zoe. Hello. What's happening? You want out? Come on. Come on. Step up. There you go. Yeah. Oh. Hello, Zoe. Come on. You want to sit on this couch? You want to sit here? There you go. Good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna play this little instrument, okay? You be calm. Hello, Zoe. Hello. Waves at us. Should I come and sit there with you? You want me to do that? Are you gonna try and bite me if I play this instrument? Huh? Are you gonna be chill? Are you gonna be chill with me playing this little instrument, Zoe? He doesn't like sticks. So when I pick up the tripod, he usually gets a little bit antsy about it. Are you gonna listen to this instrument with me? What's this? What's this? Huh? I've shown you this thing before. It makes... Hello. You want out? You wanna step up? No? You don't wanna step up yet? Went out? No. You wanna step up? No? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Zoe. Zoe, hello. You waving at our friends? You wanna go away? Oh, you wanna go outside? You wanna go outside, Zoe? Is that gonna make you happy to go outside? Come on. Let's go outside. Good girl. Come on. Let's go out. Let's go outside. Yeah. Let's see what's out there. Let's go outside. Wow. Wow. It's not too cold out here. Yeah. There's a little bit of wind. Look at that big old water. Look at that. Oh. You want to go back inside? You want to go inside now again? Check this little bird feeder. What's this? What's that? Ooh. Get yourself some sunflower seeds. There you go. Good girl. Oh, good girl. You got a bunch of them. Don't start eating them. You should wait. You should wait to eat them, you silly bird. You're making a mess of the floor. At least we're outside right now. What a scene this is. You enjoying those sunflower seeds? You want to go get some more of them? You're like, wow, there's sunflower seeds out here? There's sunflower seeds out here? Wow, you want some more of them? You want some more of them? Okay, let's go bye-bye, okay? Let's go bye-bye. Eat your cookie inside. Wait. You're eating. He's gonna eat them out here. I don't want to make a mess of the inside because he keeps dropping the little shells. Is that good? Is that good? I'm gonna get you a handful, and then I'm gonna take it with me, okay? Let's just clean all that debris out. All right. Well, not a handful exactly. A handful sounds a little bit excessive. It's like barely a. I can hold it with a finger if I tried. We're gonna try some eating this, huh? Yeah. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at those. Ah. Yeah, here comes some cookie. Let's go back. Let's go bye-bye, okay? You wanna say bye-bye? You say bye-bye? Oh, you wanna say bye-bye? Good girl. Happy. Let's go. Let's go, okay? Let's go bye-bye. Mmm.
Want a cookie?
You want a cookie? I'll give you some, okay? I'll give you some, okay? Want some of those? Mmm. Good girl. He's actually eating his food today a little bit. Isn't that a good girl? Got some more there for you. Got some more there for you, Zoe. Let's see. Good girl. Okay. You're so cute. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, friend. It was nice having you here. Melissa, I don't know if you're already gone, but your presence has been noted and appreciated. Let me see. Bad exposure, but what can one do? I think I'll do one more. I'm gonna set myself a timer. If I have a timer, I get in my own head about it. I should just play the way it comes to me. That sounds so gorgeous. Breakfast at Tiffany's. This reason is exactly why I had to get myself one of these little instruments. I had the same experience, response to hearing it for the first time. I was like, that is beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's such a warm sound. I feel it's so simple in its expression as an instrument. Right? You can tune it, technically, right? You can make these tines longer and shorter. But really, it's wood and metal sandwiched together. But if you ting it too hard, it can start bouncing, I think, a little bit. That's why it makes a little bit of a harsher sound. But it really is something special. This is a gift from my fiance. I had one like this back in the day, and it got rehomed. And this one has taken a very special place in my heart. I actually went back. I don't know if Joe's listening right now, but I went back and I listened to myself play my old one back in the day. And it's interesting how my style has and hasn't changed at the same time. Instruments. As soon as you start playing an instrument, you're gonna want to play more. I need one. Get yourself one. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Don't go out for dinner like one time, pretty much in America, right? The cheap ones, the ones with a hollow body and a little hole in it, makes a little bit more of a resonant sound, like a chamber sound, like a ooh, instead of a ho or a hmm. This one is more hmm, and the rounder ones are more oh. Melt and play more. You want more hoopty hoops? I should play more in general. That part I can agree with at the very least. But the cheaper ones are like $20, $20 to $25. Breakfast at Tiffany's, right? And this instrument is very forgiving. I'd like to believe, right? Even I can play it. I'd like to say the sounds do go well together, and even if you just like spam keys, it can still sound pretty. Yes, I'm absolutely getting one. Do it. Do it. Have it as like a little meditation instrument. It allows you a lot of presence as well while you're in the act of it. It's kind of like a meditation. Bless you. Thank you for your beautiful adds to this world, for adding love and kindness with your way of being too. That beautiful music has such a Balinese feel to it. I don't know that word. Maybe like coming from Bali? Maybe. Can I see that? Subbing that little blue box. Absolutely getting one. That little blue box. I kinda lost. But you're talking about my cards? Oh, is that what you're talking about? You're like, don't forget to pull cards, Melt. Oh, Tiffany's jewelry comes in a little blue box. Well, if anything, you're right. Up. Zoe, can I quickly pull a card? Sam gets her box this weekend. You're right, Joe. This is a box that I promised to Sam. It is true. Hello. This little sacred object will find a new home this weekend. Thank you for reminding me, Joe. I should definitely take it. I'll take the whole deck, I think. Maybe we'll pull Sam a card. This little flicky is pulling up, Sam. I don't know if you have some glue to put that down with, but it's been messing with me a little bit. Suddenly I feel like I have to make it nice because it's not going to be mine. Make it nicer ist. Nicer plus. Hashtag save soil. Yes. Namaskaram, door my heart. Namaskaram. Love is true. Thank you, Joe, for reminding me. Love is true. Hello, Zoe. What's up, Zoe? What's happening in there? Are you gonna be a good girl for me and be quiet a little bit? Hello. Can you just give me a second? If you say hello, I'll stop. I can bring you a cookie, but you have to say hello. No, you have to say hello. Got it. There we go. I haven't seen the card yet. But I'll bring you a cookie, all right, because you said hello. You want a cookie? I'm bringing you some cookies, Zoe. Hello. Hello. Bringing you some cookies, Zoe. If you're listening, Joe, Zoe has eaten most of his vegetables this morning. You want a cookie? Here you go. Ooh, look at that, Zoe. Look at that. Look at that, Zoe. Wow. Good girl. Good girl, Zoe. Dropping some of your cookies down there, though. You're dropping some stuff down there, though, huh? Oh. You'll have to go down there and get them. Okay. Let's finish it up. Let's see. The card must be revealed. You have any guesses? What do you think? Zoburb eats veggies. He does eat veggies. But he actually ate his. He consumed him. Instead of just leaving the bowl. My bird. The bird is the word, my friend. What kind of bird are you? A free bird. Free! Ooh-hoo-hoo! I'm sorry for starting to speak alien, but I was getting excited because there's a bird in this card. There's a bird. Maybe I'm one of those birds. I think I could do as that bird does. Have a big old mohawk on my head. Right, we basically have the same hairdo, me and that bird. Desire guesses. I like as much certainty as I can get around here. You like certainty? Well, I'll certainly tell you, Hoopty Hoops, that this card is called Stone Stories. And there's not much as certain as stone. Holding it in your hand, you're like, this feels like rock to me. Pretty rocky. All right. And we did talk about stories. We talked about history today. We talked about the ways of things as they were before. About the damage etched into our reality. The water that has cutteth the stone. Let's see what card 24 says, shall we? The core themes is messages, listening, and hearing. No, that's not gonna work. Before the battery. Is your battery gonna drop? I'm gonna try and get it done. One more time. See the stone etchings. All right. These petroglyphs, the ones on those rocks, were borrowed from a site in New Mexico where some 20,000 petroglyphs have been documented. The step thread geometry embedded into this image mirrors the glyphs in the rock art. Stones and crystals are planetary record keepers. Toasty with the love petroglyphs. Feels synchronous, right? This step through stones and crystals are planetary record keepers. They record ancient wisdom and they carry messages from times and dimensions outside of our own. Sites across the planet where petroglyphs abound are often considered holy places. Humans in co-creation with the divine have carved, pecked, or painted stories in stone that remain today as icons of our times past. This card asks you to hear the stories that stones have to tell. What will it take for you to decipher their messages? Seek to quiet your mind and listen with your intuitive senses. Stones reveal meaning when you pay attention and tune in to their ancient stories. As you sit with crystals, petroglyphs, and stones at sacred sites or simply in nature, recognize that you will hear their message when you learn to listen. Finally, this card requests that you understand how learning to listen will improve your ability to understand far more than stone stories. You were asked to consciously listen and truly hear every facet of creation, including the people around you and the voice of your own heart. Wowza. Wowzas and bowzas. That feels pretty synchronous with the day that we've had, doesn't it? Dan missed it, lol. Yep. You can come back for more. But that was pretty synkies. Learning to listen, right? Learning to listen to the Bibles, to the Qurans, to the Te Ching, to the Bhagavad Gitas. Learning to listen to all of these stories. Because if you can get better at listening to these stories, maybe you can get better at listening to people. Better yet, you'll get good enough to listen to your own heart. I appreciate you, friends, for listening to mine. It means a lot that I get to show up in this space with friends like you. I love you, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everybody. Till we do it again, okay? He would have enjoyed that. Oh, yeah. Mashamash. And just for what it's worth, Toasty Malosty, I love you especially, bro. Big love. Big love to you too, Melissa. Man, that big awe. You friends are awesome. And this world is a better place for having you in it. Thank you for being here in this small little sliver of world with me. I'll see you friends again soon. Goodbye, everybody.